Hello out there, this is Eugene Newcomb at Ideal Ideation coming at you with another investment video. This is going to be about a trade I call the Trump trade, which are stocks that have dropped significantly in value since Trump's been in office. As a matter of fact, for those of us astute investors, right, we have been paying attention to Trump for some years, especially during his first term. And I had little doubt when it became clear he was going to win the election that his policies were going to really depress many stock prices. Especially, talked a lot about tariffs, right? He loves tariffs. And, companies, don't like tariffs. All right. So that is definitely going to affect stock prices. So in April, May-ish of 2024, I went into cash. I basically transferred every possible dollar into my investment account to wait for opportunity. And as it got closer into the summer and fall, that opportunity was pretty clear. Trump was winning the election. And it looked like stocks were going to really tumble. And they actually started going down in September, October, November, even before he was elected. But it was clear he was going to win. So many investors, they already started selling just like I did and went into cash. And of course, once he took office, things really started on the way down. And of course, once he put on those, tariffs on like everything, things just fell off the cliff. So I'm going to introduce you to 4 of the stocks on my Trump trade list, all iconic brands. Before I do that, though, take a minute to subscribe and also, turn on notifications. You're going to want to hear the things I have to say about investing. Let's go ahead and talk about those Trump trades. And the first one is Nike. And you can see here it was at $80 a share just a year ago. So wow, right? And again, you can see a downward trend. And really, most of my Trump trades are more even clear than this. They don't bounce around even as much as this one does. It's like straight down. So, but this one, again, has that same trend. And an interesting thing about this, just in January 2024, so we're looking at a little over 2 years ago, it was at $123 a share. There's a possibility here for this to recover that or a substantial portion of that. I really have little doubt that it's going to go to 80. When? Who can say? But with all 4 of these stocks, they're affected by tariffs as well as the war. So, the tariffs and the war are eventually, going away. I think there's a really great chance of, that this stock is going back to 80. It also pays a 4% dividend. So nice. Collect those dividends until it gets to the price where you feel like selling. Let's look at the last 12 quarters of how they've been performing. And I think by looking at the last 12 quarters, it really says something about the current management, right? And I have no doubt all 4 of these companies, we're going to see some beats in most cases. And we look here, I've seen one miss in 12 quarters. All right, really, that says a lot that they have pretty sound management and they are firing on all cylinders. Let's take a look at how they've did their yearly profits during the last, since 2015. And as you see, profit, right? And of course, you see some up and downs. But let me tell you, on mature companies, that's really what you're going to see. There's a lot of investment discussion about, that they're not growing or their profits aren't growing or something's not growing. But you know what? Most of that's just nonsense. There's a point where companies just are at their peak of growing, and their profits are basically going to go up and down in a certain range. And that doesn't mean they're going out of business. It's just that they reached that maturity level where they're pretty much done growing at leaps and bounds. They still may grow some, but it's not going to be at 10-15% a year, right? So this is what I like to see: profits every single year for a long time frame. So let's look at the next stock, General Mills. Everyone's heard of General Mills. And if you look at the last 52 weeks, it's been as high as $55 a share. But if we look at just from, we're looking at September of 2024, they were at $75 a share. So we're looking at a stock that could double in price, possibly. Right, I have no doubt it's going to gain a significant stock value in the next couple of years. I plan on taking a position in most, if not all. Well, maybe not all. I have 60 stocks on my Trump list. But certainly a significant portion of those, I'm going to take a position in many of those companies. Certainly these four, I will likely have a decent stake in all four of these companies. So let's look at this, over a 7% dividend and possibility of doubling in price. What's not to like, right? Let's look at its 12-quarter performance. And what are we going to see? I already know what we're going to see. Mostly beats. Like I said, these companies just don't hire losers, right? They're bringing on top management that has solid records of performing, right? And what does that mean? Making money, right? So we're looking at 1 miss in 12 quarters. Not bad at all. So let's see, what do they have? General Mills. Again, let's look at that same time frame, 2020-15, all the way through 2025, nothing but profits. So what's not to like? I'm pretty confident that we're going to not only see a stock price increase, but continued dividends at a high rate. So let's look at the third company on my list is Campbell Soup. Again, tariffs are really digging into them. Again, a lot of canned type products. So we're talking about, steel alloy, tin, and, there's big tariffs, 40-50% on steel and aluminum. So, their production costs have significantly increased. Again, those tariffs are eventually probably going away. And if we look at their stock price is nearly half in the last year. But again, if we look at what it was just in September of 2024, we're looking at $52 a share. So this one certainly has the potential to double in value also. And look at this, 7.5% dividend. If you're an income investor, General Mills and Campbell Soup both having the potential to double in value, but with the dividend yield, 7.5%. Even if you're only an income investor, right? These are great stocks to own, but considering they can double in value, just my mouth is watering just thinking about the profit that I can make off of these companies. So let's look at their 12-quarter performance, which I have. Oh, what are you doing here? You don't want to show me? Let's refresh. There we go. And we are going to see, there was 1 miss, 2 misses in 12 quarters. Let's look at their 2015 to 25 profitability, and we're going to see, again, nice profits all the way along. What's not to like here? The last company I'm going to show you, Clorox. Now, they haven't quite dropped by half their value, but if you look at, what were we at in December 2024? $170 a share, right? So not quite possibility of doubling if it went back to where it was, but certainly a significant possible gain is, has a great opportunity here. And 5.5% dividends. So another very attractive company. And no doubt we're going to see mostly, let's look at their 12-quarter performance. And certainly we see, is that two misses in 12 quarters. Again, not bad. And how have they done from 2015 to now? And of course, what are we going to see? All profits, all of those years. So when we think about the stocks that I just called off, those 4 iconic brands, they all, in my mind, very sound investments. 3 of the 4 certainly have the potential to double in value. The other one nearly double in value potential. All pay good dividends. What's not to like? And there are hundreds of stock trades out there. Like I said, I have about 60 on my list. And I may introduce you to more of those as time goes on. So definitely stay tuned, right? Don't forget to subscribe. And that's all I've got to say. Happy investing.